gave Christian McCaffrey a 2-year extension through 2027, gave him $38 million in new money, guaranteed about $8.5 million for next year. Really gave him a big acknowledgement as the player that he is. What do you think of this news, Dad, coming right at the beginning of minicamp?
I think it's great news. I really do. I understand it extends him to when he's 31.
Mhm.
And that's a tiny bit old, but he's a great player. And if it comes out that when he's 30 or 31, he's not as good, teams can always work that out. They can always work out the money. They do stuff with the contracts that I never can even understand. So I think to secure the player and to make the player feel wanted and to keep their team legitimate contenders, it was A plus plus plus. That's what I feel.
Yeah. I guess the reason why it's risky is solely because of the position he plays. He's a great player and he's versatile and he can catch passes out of the backfield. He's the best at that. But he still has to be a running back. And running backs just get obliterated. He's missed a lot of games in his career before he got here. And this is sort of betting on him staying healthy year after year for a while. And if he does, it's just phenomenal. But
You know what? I think it's a bet that the 49ers should take. I do. It's a risk they should take, a bet they should make. I like it, Iggy, and I understand the caution that is around it, that he could get hurt in the first game. Aaron Rodgers got hurt in the first game. It's football. You
Yeah.
take your chance. You take your chance because if you have him disgruntled on the team, that's not good. Someone like him in the locker room who's a sour pickle, you don't want that. And you want him giving his all. Look, Iggy, I believe this is their last year with this quote unquote core group. You want to have him happy. That's what I think. And I think he deserves it. I think he's a great player and he deserves it.
What I think is really interesting about this whole offseason is Christian McCaffrey didn't even go online and say he was mad. He just made a business move. He didn't go to OTAs for 2 weeks and immediately got an extension. Like the Niners were not messing around for all the reasons you just said. You're so important to us. We don't want you disgruntled. You're the best player on our team. You're the offensive player of the year. Here's what do you want? We can work it out. No problem. Meanwhile, Brandon Aiyuk holding his breath, stamping his feet, not getting what he wants, and the Niners seem quite content to let this drag out and let him stress himself out. They do not want Christian McCaffrey stressed at all. But Aiyuk, it's his problem. What do you think of that?
Well, let's phrase it like this. Iggy, who is more valuable to the team, McCaffrey or Aiyuk?
It's not even close. It's McCaffrey.
It's not even close. Okay, so that's obviously what drives the Niners. Plus, McCaffrey wasn't asking for Aiyuk money.
No.
So if they would pay McCaffrey whatever, Iggy, I never know figures, whatever they're paying him, Aiyuk wants quite a bit more, doesn't he?
Yeah, McCaffrey's getting about $19 million a year now, and Aiyuk wants like $30 million a year.
Okay. We've just agreed that McCaffrey is more valuable to the team. Why would you pay $30 million a year to a guy who's not as valuable as the $19 million guy?
Yeah, that puts Aiyuk in a bad spot. Now, the reason that Aiyuk is worth more money on the market is because he plays wide receiver and McCaffrey plays running back. And so while McCaffrey's more valuable to the Niners right now, he could go down any day. And theoretically, Brandon Aiyuk has a much longer future.
Okay. Why are wide receivers worth more than running backs?
That's a good question. Because it's a passing league, and I think running backs' careers are shorter generally.
Okay. All right. But in the case of the 49ers, it's clear who's more valuable. For example, if they were to lose CMC, they'd be a worse team by a lot. If they were to lose, and they may lose Aiyuk, I think they'd be just as good. Do you agree with those two statements?
I do. I mean, let's compare their production, not their talent, but their production. So Brandon Aiyuk, can you guess how many catches a game he averaged last year?
Well, I know he averaged 3 in the playoffs, but I don't know in the regular season.
4.7. So that's his impact on a game. He'll get the ball 4.7 times per game. The year before was 4.6. Christian McCaffrey caught the ball 4.2 times a game as a running back and added 17 carries a game. So you can't really compare their impact.
No, you can't
No.
compare their impact. And what I would, if I were John Lynch, what I would say to Aiyuk, you don't mean as much to us as CMC does. Look at the numbers. We're willing to go to his price. He's probably the highest paid running back in the league, right, Iggy?
Yes.
We're not going to make you the highest paid wide receiver in the league. You're not as good as this guy. He catches the ball almost as much as you do.
Yeah.
And he is our running game.
Mhm.
So the general impact of wide receivers in the league is one thing, but on this team, it's almost like Aiyuk is an asterisk or a footnote. The other guy is the main text.
Yeah, and when it comes to the passing game, Aiyuk, he might be the number one wide receiver over the course of a 17-game season if he stays healthy. I mean, but in an actual big game, is he their number one target? Never.
Not in the Super Bowl.
No. So when it really matters, he's their second option, maybe their third option. And when it really matters, McCaffrey is always their first option. So, yeah, it's interesting how the Niners took care of everyone this offseason except Aiyuk. And they drafted a player who plays his position.
And they drafted another wide receiver aside from that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole message is, hey, Bo, Buster, you're not that important to us.
Yeah.
You're going to have to scale down your expectations. And if I were John Lynch, I would be really fierce about it. I would. I'd be fierce.
And I think what's interesting is the Niners try to position themselves as like a player-friendly organization, but that only works up into a point. And if they feel that Brandon Aiyuk is being unreasonable, they don't necessarily have to give him what he wants. And he wants two things: the extension at his price, or a trade to a team that'll give him an extension at his price. The Niners can always choose option C, break his chops.
Yeah, right.
Which it seems to be what they're doing. And you know what? I kind of respect it.
Iggy, you know who would have broken his chops?
Who?
Al Davis.
Oh, my God.
He would have put him on the bench.
True.
He did it to Marcus Allen.
Correct.
You think you're running this team? Now you're on the bench.
Yeah, you really want to find out where you are in the pecking order? Go learn.
Right. That's what Al would have done.
Yeah, because as great as he is, he had fewer catches in the playoffs than Juwan Jennings and Christian McCaffrey, the two guys who got extensions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
And again, Aiyuk can say, well, Kyle didn't call my number. Kyle can say, yeah, well, you were too busy fighting with the other team. And if you don't believe me, ask the other team.
Yeah, and also you didn't get open. You didn't get open.
Too. Brother Kyle, Kyle Bob has been a member for 13 months. That's more than a year. Thank you, Brother Bob, who's now the host on the channel. Dave Barclay says, biggest duo in sports podcasting. Love you guys.
Thanks, Dave.
We're big.
Yeah.
Brother Bob says, Cohn's own best show in the business. Good to see you too. Good to see you as well. Dave Barclay says, Brother Bob, best in content analysis. Brother Bob says, Iggy, I missed the presser. You piss off Kyle Levy. I jumped in quickly on a question because he was taking a really long time to answer a question. And as soon as he finished, I asked my question. He said, what did he say? He said, how did you know I was going to finish just then? Were you holding your breath?
He actually has a sense of humor. I love it.
Today he did. Yeah, he made me laugh. Dr. Tankenstein said, even though my dad passed in 2019, I remember him reading the Sporting Green all the time when I was young. I grew up with Cohn Sr.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Tankenstein. Brother Bob, Dave, no, that's all you. Best in the net. Kyle Levy is your term. Love it. Dave Barclay, ha ha ha. I just emulate you, sir. They're talking to each other through our super chat. I love it. Roger Cantu says, Kyle was snippy. Thanks for holding him accountable. Not with me today. He liked me today.
He can have some snip, though. He has some snip.
He's got a little snip to him. Dave Barclay says, as I say, Brother Bob, shoot for the moon, and if you fall short, you still land among the stars. You are the man right up there with the Cones. He certainly is. Smack Jones says, I feel like it's about to be T.O. all over again.
With Aiyuk?
Yeah.
I don't first of all, I think T.O. is a better player than Aiyuk. Iggy. He's a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah, I'd have to say so.
He was a better player. But look, I don't know what he's like now, but when I covered him on the Niners, I felt he had issues, and I think they came to light on the team. He was always going after Jeff Garcia, and I thought it was disgusting. And I thought Dennis Erickson should have handled it, but I don't know why Dennis didn't.
And what happened with T.O. was interesting. His career arc, he started off as the number 2 wide receiver behind Jerry Rice with Steve Young at quarterback. And he was one of the best number 2 wide receivers of all time. Steve Young and Jerry Rice kind of kept him in check, and he wasn't T.O. at that point. He was Terrell Owens. Then Young left, Rice left, T.O. got paid, and he took over the team. And that happens sometimes with players. Like with Brandon Aiyuk, we haven't really seen the full Brandon Aiyuk yet. When he's making $32 million a year, then we'll know what kind of ego he really has. And that's what we learned with T.O. So I don't know. He's shown certain signs, but doesn't mean he'll end up being the worst teammate ever like T.O.
I don't expect that. I think if he's satisfied, he'll be a very good teammate. I think he has been a very good teammate, Aiyuk. Mm-hmm. He's never making $32 million a year, not in Santa Clara. It's not going to happen.
Not in Santa Clara, for sure.
Not going to happen.
Paul Newland says, Lowell, you are a stallion.
I'm a 78-year-old man.
Frank Tom Ocean says, shout out to the Cohn family and all the comment creators. Trade Aiyuk for Wirfs and replace Trent. Wirfs is the left tackle for Tampa. I don't think they're trading Wirfs.